Hello, everyone, and welcome to DES105. We are going to begin, and I wanted to welcome everyone to class. Before we start, I was going to go ahead and share a video and say hello, or rather say goodbye, because this is week 4, and we are almost done. So I just wanted to welcome you guys to class if you're joining me at home or if you are here in class. So welcome to Page Layout Tools. I am Mrs. Woodland, and we are going to begin. All right, so what I'm going to do now is shift gears here. We're going to jump to the slides. We're going to go over a few things, a few housekeeping things, and then I'm going to actually review the entire final project with you. So we're going to go over what's expected during week 4 and what is going to be expected of you, okay? All right, so we're going to stop this video and jump right in. So I wanted to welcome everyone. I'm going to demo problem areas from last week's assignment, so if you guys have any questions, please just put them in the chat feed, and then we can go over them as we just get the ball rolling, but I'd be happy to answer any questions. If you have any questions and you were not able to attend the live session, please shoot me an email, visit the Student Success Center, or contact Wanda Bryant, our learning coach, if our schedules don't meet up, okay? So we're going to talk about the continued discussion of style sheets. What are they? Why are they important? And how you can incorporate them in your designs. You will be graded on these, and so I want to make sure that we understand them. We went over them a little bit during week 2, and I want to be able to make sure that we have a good, firm foundation of knowledge when it comes to what these are and how to use them. Appending style sheets, overriding style sheets. We're going to learn about how to use them and what happens if we need to make a change. Other mechanical issues we're going to go over include how to navigate master pages, how to set those up, and then also I know a few of us kind of struggle with the alignment issue, so we're going to learn about how to properly align things. We're going to teach you how to use rulers and guides and grids. So these are all going to be very important. Hey, Alexandria, thanks for coming in. Glad to have you. Just going over some housekeeping. And then our discussion for this week. So we're going to be talking about mobile apps. And I want to get into the discussion a little bit. Please reply if you haven't already. Go make your initial post. It has to be done before tomorrow, or rather I should say by tomorrow evening, 11:59 Mountain Standard Time. So make sure you get that in and post. It does need to be a minimum of 150 words to get full credit. And please share visual examples if you can. Share your sources. Remember to cite the sources in APA format, and I believe I went over it in week 2 on how to use the APA generators to cite your sources correctly. All right, so we're also going to be talking about the importance of spreads, what's the difference, and ad placement, okay? We talked a little bit about hierarchy over the last few weeks, so I'm not going to get too much into that because week 4 is just requiring you to copy an example. So you're basically just trying to place things as you see them. There's not a whole lot of hierarchy, I should say, involved here, but we will be talking about how to place ads because you'll have one. So we did a few things backwards during week 3 and 4. I believe. Oh, here, I'll go back here. So what we did, instead of week 3, you were being graded on page 1 and page 4, and instead I demoed 1 and 2. It doesn't matter the order. I gave you credit if you did 2 pages. So the good news is you got 1 and 2 out of the way, which means page 4 is very easy to do and shouldn't take a whole lot of time. So this week is structured to save you some time. Are there any questions before we move forward? Anything from week 3, anything moving on into week 4?
No, I think everything's pretty much caught up with everything, and then I'm still just working on the assignment for week 3. Just doing the little changes that you made.
Perfect.
That you told me to make. So, and then that's it. But yeah, pretty much I got everything, and I'm just here just to talk about more about the discussion as well. So.
Okay, yeah, great. Well, we're glad to have you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so Alexandra mentioned a few things that I think are important. So the discussion, we're going to talk a little bit more about that, what's going to be required. Also, she also mentioned the feedback on week 3. So over the last 3 weeks, I've given you all some feedback on your PDFs. I've re-uploaded them with little comments, little speech bubbles. If you haven't seen them or don't know what those are, please email me immediately and let me know, because hopefully hopefully they're there. So what you'll do is you'll open up the PDF, you'll click on the little speech bubble, and it will open up into a text box with more commentary that I've given you. And so make those changes as best you can. If anything's confusing, again, reach out, ask questions, because I want to be able to give you full credit for that. Now, whenever you make changes, moving on into week 4, you can also get double points by resubmitting your week 3 assignment. So as you're making changes to week 3's work, as you're getting it prepped and ready for week 4, you can resubmit the week 3 work as well and get points for that. So I just wanted to point that out. So resubmissions will be accepted up until Friday at midnight. So anything beyond that won't be accepting. We've got the cutoff. Now, please be aware, I don't think most students know this, but on Saturday night at 11:59 p.m., as your final project is due and everything else is due, after that, you get locked out of the class. So it's unlike it's been where you can submit work late. If you don't have your final work turned in Saturday night by 11:59 p.m., you will be locked out of a class, and I cannot issue a grade for work that's not been turned in. I can't give you a grade when there's no assignment there in the Dropbox. So it's very important. Emailing it to me does no good because, I can't give you points if there's an empty assignment in your grade book. So college policy doesn't allow me to do that. So please be aware, get this turned in ahead of time to save you any headaches. I know there's internet issues and lots of things that go on. Life just gets in the way, whatever it is. Make sure you give yourself enough time to get it submitted so we don't run into those problems because you will be locked out of the class. So I know some students aren't aware of that, and I just wanted to point that out. We don't have any surprises. But I am taking resubmissions. I am taking late work. I am opening up the late work acceptance week 1, week 2, and week 3. So I am waiving the 1 week deadline so you can have a chance to get that work turned in up until Friday. So resubmissions and late work, I'm opening it up for you guys to turn in. I'd love to see it all in. Let's get those grades up. You only need a 60% to pass. So if you are teetering on that line, or you're only a few points away, just get some work turned in, and you'll be amazed how quickly your grade will get bumped up. The last thing we want to do is have to take this class again, right? So let's not do that. Let's get our work turned in and take advantage of the resubmission policy. Yeah. Some haven't had that happen, and it's kind of scary when it does. So, unfortunately, and I've had students email me their final project, and I can't. I mean, I would love to grade it, but I can't put a grade in the grade book with an empty assignment. It's just not allowed. So, we've got to be able to have an actual assignment linked to the grade. So, anyways, I'm not the bad guy, but I just wanted to let everyone know that that does happen. And so unlike the weeks past where you're able to turn in late work, come the final project, we won't be having those. You'll just get locked out because the class closes, and then I have to have grades submitted Sunday night. So it's just super complicated. But just wanted to let you guys know. Let's talk about the discussion, okay? So you've had the opportunity to use InDesign, get familiar with it, the software. We've kind of done some research on a lot of things about InDesign, really. But and you've even been able to try your hand at several different design projects, like a menu and postcards, and now a newsletter. And you're going to be able to check out a list of different mobile apps that you can use InDesign with. And there's a link that is in the discussion. Click on the link, go visit it, read it, do some research, but pay close attention to the fact that InDesign is a companion software. Those that have InDesign as a companion software when it comes to mobile apps, and kind of explore what InDesign can do in terms of mobile app design or web design. So InDesign isn't just a one-trick pony. It doesn't just do print work. This is a very versatile piece of software that it can allow you to do a lot of online digital designs, okay? Even there's even a feature in InDesign that will allow you to do interactive PDFs where you can interact with the PDF. Super cool. Lots of magazines use it. But I just wanted to point that out. So do some research, read up on it, and post your findings. Share any visual examples that you have. This is a visual class, so find things that you can share, kind of like show and tell, I guess. But find things that you found, or I'm sorry, share things that you found, and let us know what your research has come to. And as far as how InDesign is used, okay? Because I don't know if many of us know that it can be used in a digital way. So for your initial post, it needs to be 150 words minimum, okay? And then you also need to have APA citation. If you're not familiar with how to do APA formatting, there's a lot of APA generators online, and I don't know if I'm supposed to tell you that or not, but you can go and they're free, and you can just enter in your website and it will format it for you. So it's very simple nowadays. I remember when I had to go into the library and I had to um, they didn't have that kind of stuff, and I had to go like look up the date and the author and the book title, and you had to kind of format it, and it takes a lot of time, but nowadays it can be done online. So just make sure you include that. Then I want you to describe how you can bring the two together, InDesign and the mobile app industry. What type of project can it create? And will this knowledge of InDesign's power give you an advantage when it comes time to looking for a job? So in this industry, no longer is it okay to just have print design knowledge. You need to be able to know online, a little bit of coding, a little bit of what mobile app development. Just things are evolving nowadays. Okay, we're all on our phones, so it only makes sense that we'd have mobile app knowledge. So tell me why or why not. What's the advantage if you have the knowledge? What's the advantage if you don't? And then again, I talked about citing your articles from experts that suggest how to use InDesign with current Adobe apps. So I want you to cite articles that you find from experts, not just opinions. I want you to really do some research. Okay, it's okay to give your opinion in there after you've put your findings in there, but I really want to see your research. What are experts saying? What are the trends? Let's talk about it in the year 2018, or where's it going to be next year? So things are changing the face of the graphic design industry, and you're kind of in the middle of it, which is pretty neat. All right, so let's talk about the assessment. You only have an assignment 4 to turn in, which is the rest of the pages of your newsletter design, and that's it. That's it for your final project. So that should give you time to get any late work turned in if you haven't already. Assessment 4 is just a cumulative quiz. It's a final exam based off of the quiz questions you've been given over the course of the 4 weeks. So there shouldn't be any surprises in there. It should just be based, so if you did really well, this should be pretty easy for you. And then there's one last thing that I wanted to point out is we'll get to the assignment, but it's also the career integration quiz. And it's not a quiz really, it's more like a survey. So during week 4, we talked about digital output and print production in the InDesign module. So when it comes to I want you to talk about, like, what did these videos help you learn? Did you, in this class, what was more helpful? Was it the videos? Was it the live demos? Was it the multi-sessions? Was it the readings? Was it the Linda videos? I want you to talk about it and give a good lengthy response. One word responses aren't going to cut it. You will be graded on grammar and all that fun stuff, but this is more opinion based. So you're not going to be graded on your opinion, but we do want it to be very clear. So this is easy 15 points, guys. Just go take it now. You don't even have to wait till this Saturday. Just go take it now and get a free 15 points. So just make sure that you just kind of just do it, I guess, is really the main thing. A lot of you have asked if there's any extra credit opportunities, and while there isn't, there's lots of opportunities to get easy points, like doing the daily checkpoints, doing more than 4 in a week gives you extra points, and then the career integration, I say it quiz with air quotes, but it's just a survey. So it's more just getting your student feedback on this class, okay? Are there any questions? So if you haven't already taken the career integration quiz, go do it now. It's nothing you have to study for. It's just opinion based, okay? If there are no questions, we'll go ahead and move on, and we'll get into our assignment. I wanted to reserve the majority of class on reviewing the assignment and reviewing the old things that we've learned, because I think a few of us still kind of struggle with some things or maybe aren't completely clear. We move fast in this mod, so I want to make sure that we all have a good firm foundation of knowledge as far as style sheets, master pages, alignment, spreads, and ad placement. And we're going to talk about the grid issue as well. So what I want you to do is open up InDesign. We're going to shift gears here. I'm going to open up my I'm going to share my InDesign if I can. Just give me a minute. Sorry for the delay. I'm setting up a new document right now because I think it's important that we have a good foundation on how to do that. So let me grab, see if this will share now. There we go. Okay. So let's set up our new document with InDesign. And actually, I'm going to share my desktop because I think that might be easier to see everything. There we go. Okay. I'm going to close out of this. All right, so I'm here under the assignment 3, as you can see, the newsletter part 1, because I wanted to get the prompt up so that we had the right margins, the right way to set up our new InDesign document. If you've already done this, and this should be smooth sailing, you don't have to do this again a second time. I'm just setting it up for those who are starting from scratch. So you'll, under the preset details, under the name, you're going to name it DES105. This is assignment 4. Then your first last name. Okay? All right. Then next, width and height, 8.5 by 11 inches. Make sure your units say inches. Make sure it's checked mark there. Orientation will be portrait. We want there to be facing pages this time. Now, if you haven't already done that, that's okay. We were in the habit of doing not selecting facing pages, but for this case, we're going to want facing pages, okay? We want the pages to be 4, and we want the columns to be 3. Start on page 1, and then the column gutter between the columns will be a quarter of an inch. That's 0.25 inches. And then the margins, click on the margins. The bottom is 0.75 inches. The top, bottom, and outside are 0.5, so half an inch. Okay, so the only one that's different is the bottom. All right, once you have all this, you don't need any bleed right now, so you can just hit create. When it's done thinking, it will pull the new document up. So the first thing we're going to go in and do is master page construction. So if we are familiar with master pages at all, this will be very helpful. This should be pretty easy for you. But if you're not, if this is our first introduction to master pages and what are they and how can they help, I want to be able to help show you again how to set them up and why they're important. So master pages are very helpful when it comes to using a multi-page document. Anything that's more than one page that would require similar information to be on each page. So I'm going to open up my pages panel here. You can open it up by going to Window and selecting Pages right here. Okay, so here's my Pages panel. Now, interesting to note, you've got page 1 highlighted in blue, page 2, page 3, page 4. But if you go up here at the top where it says A Master, if you double click on that page and make sure that page that's selected is highlighted in blue, what this does is it shows you your left and right pages moving forward. So basically, master pages are very helpful because it's kind of the master document that will, anything that you put on these pages will be applied to the rest of your pages. So if I put a blue box on this left page, a blue box will appear on all of the pages, all of the left pages. So do you see that? See, I just put a blue box here, and look what happened to page 2 and page 4. So they now have a blue box. So it's a permanent thing or semi-permanent thing that when it's applied to a certain page in the master, it will apply it to the other pages. Why is this helpful? Well, if you were designing a book or a magazine or something with multiple pages, hundreds of pages, then you wouldn't want to have to go make 1,000 changes to each page, like a page number or a folio. So it's pretty nice to have. So instead of a blue box, what I'm going to do is put a folio on my page so that it now applies to all of my other pages. I'm going to grab my type tool. I'm going to click and drag down here at the bottom of the margin line because I'm going to want enough space. Here we go. And this is where I'm going to put my folio. Now, if you'll notice, when I draw my type box, you see this dotted line, kind of outlined dotted line. What this is it's demonstrating that this is a master page element, which means whatever goes on this left page is going to be applied to page 2 and 4 and so on, all the even pages. Whatever I put on the right-hand side, on the right page, will be applied to all of the odd numbered pages. So we're going to have to add this folio to both. So this is the folio. You can call it Student Matters, which is the name of the newsletter. You could even format it in a color. So I believe Student Matters is blue. And I think the color of the logo is red. So you could do something like that. And then I'm just going to hit the tab button over a few times. And you need to have the page number and the date. So what I'm going to do is go up to Type, and I'm going to go to Insert Special Character, Markers, Current Page Number. You see that? Markers, current page number. By clicking that, you'll notice it's a letter A that's been placed there. That's a page marker. But if I click on page 2, you'll see the number 2 there. If I click on page 4, you'll see the number 4 there. So what that master element is just displaying is that that's where the marker goes. Okay, it's just showing placement of the page number. So I can rearrange this. I can make it go all the way across if I wanted to. What I'm going to do is just do a little 2018. And I'm just going to kind of tab this over until it lines up where I need it to be. I might need to extend this box a little bit. Oops. There we go. And I'm just going to line it up with the margin line right down there. And with this, I'm also going to make the font very small. This is not supposed to compete with your body copy. So I'm going to make it like 8-point font. And I'm going to make the page number and the date black. And then I'm just going to tab this over. Kind of cool, huh? And then I'll move my little box down just a bit off that margin line because we're going to have columns of text that are going to go to that margin line, and I want it to have some breathing room here at the bottom, so I want it not touching my text. So now that I have the folio formatted for page 2, I can check on page 2 by double-clicking it. There it is, page 2, and there it is, page 4. So it works on the left page. Now I'm going to go over to the right page, the A master, and I'm going to put the same folio right there. Except I'm kind of flip-flop these. I want Student Matters to be on the outside. So I'm going to take this over and put this in. And just tap this over. So I want Student Matters to be on the outside of the page. I'll kind of have to extend this box a bit. Okay. So now I've got my folio, but if you'll notice, these folio boxes, text boxes are not lined up. So what I'm going to do is grab my ruler here at the top. Do you see this ruler, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10? It's in inches. I'm going to click and drag, and I'm going to pull it down. And I'm going to line it up here at the bottom of my text box. I'm going to also grab one over here so that I can make sure it lines up the same place. So you can notice my text box is lined up with that ruler. I'm going to grab my other one and bring it down. My smart guides are turned on, so you can see that it's telling me everything is aligned correctly across and in the middle, and there it is, lined up at the same ruler horizontal line. So that's very important. Now if I double click on all my right-hand pages, you'll notice there's 1 and 3. So everything is numbered, and I no longer have to go in manually. So what's cool about it is if say I'm on page 4 and I add 4 more pages, look what's automatically happening. The folio is there. It's included on each of them. So this is really important because we don't want to have to do this manually every time we add a page or take away a page, right? So the master page is very helpful. That's all you need to put on your master page is just the folio, and then we can go into designing page 1. Let's see. Are there any questions about how to insert your folio, your page number automatically. Hey, Debbie, thanks for coming. It's good to have you. Yeah, it's very cool and it saves a ton of time too. So that's how you set up master pages. If you wanted to override a master page, so if I was on page 1, you see my page 1 is highlighted, I can't grab master page elements. I have to be on my master page to go make changes. So if I wanted to get rid of that or move it, I have to be on my master page. But if I'm on page 1 and I need something to say, I don't want this folio on just this page. I want it applied to the other pages, but I don't want to, there's only one page where I want to make a change. I can right click and click on override all master page items. And what that does is it makes this element editable on just this page. So then, but on the other pages, it's still there. Okay, so that's kind of handy if you wanted to get rid of an element that is on a page, but you don't want it to be applied to the rest of the document. So anything you put on your master pages is applied to the entire document. Okay, so that folio is all set up and it is ready to go. Now we need to set up our baseline grid. We have a lot of text. Are we familiar with baseline grids? Are we feeling good? Are there any questions? I'll go into it. Yeah, we're getting the hang of it. That's okay. A little bit, a brush up won't hurt. So here's a quick tip on how to use baseline grids in InDesign. I won't go into the long version of how to do it, but I just want to kind of revisit it so that we're familiar with it. Yes, you do have to do a folio, Debbie. That is required. Good question. Yep, that is required, and so that's why I'm showing how to do it. Let's see. But do you want me to review it again? Do you feel kind of comfortable with it? Okay. All right. So we're going to learn how to use the baseline grids in InDesign because, again, we have a lot of text. This is a newsletter, so it's text heavy. So remember that pleasing feeling of writing on lined paper back at school? You might still write on it in college, but InDesign's baseline grid function helps you to replicate just that. It allows you to space text evenly across your whole document. And I hear someone's mic, so I'm going to try to mute. Sorry, guys. 1 second. Hey, Teresa, thanks for coming. I'm just gonna make sure everyone's muted real quick. Perfect. All right, and now if there's any questions, let me know. All right, so we're gonna review on how to set up the baseline grid. So basically what it does is it gives you that lined paper look, and it allows you to space your text evenly across your entire document. So baseline grids are super simple to use and instantly makes layouts look ultra professional because everything is lined up and it snaps it into place automatically. So let's look how to activate them and snap text to the grid lines, okay? Why do we need a baseline grid? We kind of covered it. Why do you think we need one? Any guessers? Basically, a baseline grid is a grid of horizontal lines, okay? And yeah, so everything is aligned, exactly, for alignment. We want things evenly spaced across our entire document. So without the grid visible, it can be kind of tricky to eyeball to make your text perfectly align across your document. Even a professional probably couldn't do it. So we really need to stop eyeballing things and really use the tools that are given to us. So I am going to grab the example here. Give me 1 second. See what that example is of the newsletter so I can see what it looks like. There we go. All right. And then we need how to succeed in a difficult class. That's the first text. I'm going to pull this text in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my text box. And first, let's place our masthead. So I'm going to go to File, Place. I'm going to go to my Downloads folder. I downloaded the Student Matters. Let's see if I can get it pulled up. There we go. And here's the masthead. Notice it's in an AI format. Don't let that throw you off. You can still place an AI file. And I'm just going to click and hold down Shift and Command. What this does is it locks it into place. All right. And then I'm going to go to Object, Fitting, and I'm going to go to Fit Framed Content. So now that automatically snaps the frame to the image. I'm going to move it up here. I'm using the margin line as kind of my alignment indicator, like making sure that everything is within the margin line, nothing extends over it, because the newsletter has a white border around it, so we want to make sure that we keep that. And then, all right, so now we need to place our text. So if you grab your type tool, click and drag, and I'm going to just go from column to column. So there's one. Again, I'm going to draw my text box. My smart guides are turned on. They're showing me that's perfectly aligned. Do it again to the third column. So I've got 3 text boxes lined up. I'm going to click on these 2, or actually I won't need the third one, so just these 2. I'm going to click at the bottom here. Do you see this little white? It's the largest anchor point here at the bottom right. I'm going to click on it, and it now changes my mouse to almost like a chain icon or extra text inside. And I'm going to click on the other text box. What that does is it links the content to the other text box. All right, so now these 2 text boxes, you see that little triangle and that icon there, it's just saying it's all linked. So whatever I put in one column will overflow into the next. All right, so I'll just make sure my cursor is blinking in there. I'll go to File, I'll go to Place, and I'm going to go to my How to Succeed in a Difficult Class document, and I'll hit Open. So it's going to automatically flow that content into my text box. Perfect. So there it is. All right, and now I'm going to highlight both of them, select both of them, and I'm going to kind of move it down because I want to put my image right there. So I'm going to go to, can draw my rectangle frame, kind of where I want the picture to go. That can be my placeholder. Go to File, Place, and I'm going to find the picture. Let's see, what's it called? Study Time 1. Oh no, wrong one, sorry. Try that again. Oh, How to Succeed. Okay, sorry, it's labeled. All right, there we go. So it's placed in there. I'm going to go to Object, Fitting, Fill Frame Proportionately. So that will fill it proportionately. So now notice the picture extends over 2 columns, not just one, and you have this right-hand side, this right column empty for your cyberware bar. All right, there's 2 things we want to do. First, we want to kind of grab both text boxes and line it up so there's even amount of space between the picture and the masthead picture and the text boxes. So look at this space right here. This is what I'm going to be looking at. Let me increase this real quick. You see this space? Whoops. One second. Let me format this real quick so you can see it. Okay. So you see this space right here between the picture and the masthead. I really want this space to be even. So the even amount of space here as there is down here. It's all about alignment. It's all about keeping things uniform. Okay. Next, you'll pick a font for your article. I would not go larger than 12-point font. I'm going to do a Times New Roman. It looks like they're using a Times New Roman in the article example, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take out this first line, how do you succeed in a difficult class? This is the headline. And I'm going to just draw a little text box over here. I'm going to grab both of these and I'm going to bring it down. Oops. Actually, I'll bring it up. And I'm going to bring this picture down because I forgot I needed a headline. Okay, I'm going to bring this over here. And then this is just a matter of eyeballing it. So I'm going to use a sans serif, which they've used. I'm going to use Arial, something that we all have. I'm going to use an Arial bold, and I'm going to increase the font size until it starts looking like the example. And in the example, it looks like it's 2 lines. So that's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to increase it until I get succeed there. I'm going to pull this down because I can't see it. Okay. Now I'm going to change this to blue. So I'm going to grab my eyedropper tool and select the blue in the masthead. I'm going to move my picture down a little and go to Object, Fitting, Fill Frame Proportionately. Okay, how to succeed in a difficult class. You could even tighten up the leading a little bit if you want to make it a little tighter. But again, I want even amount of space as the top and the bottom. Okay, now I've got that placed. Now what I need to do is make room for my text, and I need to also make room for my table of contents, which means I'm going to have to shrink the font here. So what I'm going to do is highlight the D, and I'm going to open up my window to Type in Tables, Character, and then under the Character panel, I'm going to increase my drop, or I'm going to create a drop cap. And it actually might not be in the character. I think it's over here in the paragraph formatting. So it's right here. You go to Window, type in Tables, Paragraph. I think it's under Paragraph. There we go. It's right down here at the bottom. So I can increase this. It looks like it's only two-lined drop cap. The rest of the font, though, is going to be, I'm going to try to make it 8-point font, maybe 9. There we go. All right, and now I need to format my bullet points. So I'm going to highlight these, and I'm going to go to, believe bullets are on the character. Let me go, character. Let's see here. Where is it? Oh, bullets and numbering. All right, so it is on the paragraphs. If you click on the right hand, see these 4 horizontal lines. If you click on this and click on, where did it go? Bullets and numbering, right here at the bottom. It'll give you your options. So I want to just do a traditional bullet character. And then and notice how it's already changed on this side. And then the left indent, I'll leave the same, but the first line indent, I'm going to increase a little bit so that the bullets are a little closer together to my text. I don't want it so far apart. I can even move the indent out if I wanted to, but I'm going to just keep it the same right there. And then what I want is I want this text to line up at the same point. So if you can see here, there is this big gap right here that needs to be filled in. So what I'm looking for when I'm grading is, does our text end at the same point right here? Are lines of text even? Okay, so we want to fill in that space. I don't want any big gaps. So the way that you can fix that is select both text boxes, and once you have all the text formatted, kind of go up one line at a time and kind of try to get that to line up as best you can. Like that. And then it looks like this picture is actually even smaller. So I'm just looking at the example now. So I'm going to bring this up, and I'm going to click on the image, and I'm going to go to text wrap. So if I go to Object, I think it's under Object. It's right here if you can see it. Do you guys see this icon? Like if I hover over it, it goes wrap around object shape. If I click that, what that does is it wraps around my text box. Do you guys see that on your computer? Oops. Okay, so I just want to make sure you can see it. So it kind of helps with that. All right, so wrap around. So now if you go to object, I'm trying to find it because it's all muscle memory. So I'm trying to remember where it is in here. Display, I think it's the text box. Let's see here, text frame options. Okay, so if you click on your text box and click on text frame options, another panel pops up, and this will allow you to kind of format your text wrap. You can either hit ignore text wrap if you didn't want it to wrap around your image, but everything should be okay. So you hit OK, and you can click on your picture too and go to, I wonder if this gives it to me. I don't know if it does. Yeah, I don't think it does. That's okay. All right, so we've got our text wrap. I'm going to move this text box down a bit, right down here. And you can increase the font size if you feel like you need to. I'm going to try to increase this just a little bit, maybe 10. Maybe 10 is good. And again, I'm just going to try to get it lined up. There we go. All right, so another thing that we're going to need to do is set up our baseline grid, okay? Object. But before I go into the baseline grid, are there any questions about text wrapping or placing your images on the page? I just want to make sure we're all feeling confident. Yeah, how can you, okay, so yeah, and I want to do that too. I want to move the text away from the image because we don't want it touching, right? So to display the text wrap or the wrap text around pages, we're going to display the text wrap panel. So go to Window, click on Text Wrap right here. Click on Text Wrap, and I'm going to close out the panels we're not using so it's not confusing. So go to Window, Text Wrap, wherever it is. Let me move my Zoom stuff. Here it is. Okay. So that your text wrap panel should open. If you click text, make sure that the object that you want to text wrap is selected. Click on the text wrap, and then this allows you to move it away by changing the value here. So we just kind of want to eyeball it, see if it's even amount of space, top, bottom, left, right. All right. And then I'm going to select both of these. So they should line up like this. Okay. So the bottom is lined up. You've got some space around the image. Does that help, Teresa? So to open your text wrap panel, you're going to go to Window, click on Text Wrap, and that will open this panel. With your image selected, you're going to change the value here at the top. Does that help? Okay, perfect. All right, so let's set up our baseline grid. We've already got text set up on here. So let's get into what a baseline grid is. We talked a little bit of why it's important. So here's how we view the baseline grid. Before making the baseline grid visible, you can edit its settings by going to Edit, Preferences, then Grid. So Edit, Preferences, where is it? I'm going to go to Window. Oh, sorry, I'm looking for the wrong place. InDesign at the top here, Preferences, and then Grids. Okay, do you guys see that? So it's not going to be one of these file drop-down menus. You're going to go to the InDesign part, go to Preferences, and then go to Grids. Okay, then you go to Grids if you're on Windows, and then or InDesign Preferences and Grids if you're on a Mac. So I'll copy and paste that in so that you guys are clear. So remember, Edit Preferences Grids if you're in Windows, or InDesign Preferences Grids if you're on a Mac. So here is my preferences. All right, now from here, you can adjust where the grid starts on the page. From the relative to, though, we're going to pay attention to that. You can select whether you'd like the grid to start from the top of the page or the top margin, and how far apart you want the lines to be spaced. Measure in points. You can set this to match your desired leading setting. So relative to, or the increment every here, this value has to match what your leading setting is on all of the text. So let's go back and check what our leading is. So I'm just going to highlight some text here. And my leading is 12, so my increment every needs to be 12. Those two values have to match. So go back to InDesign Preferences, Grids, and then increment every says 12. Perfect. Now my view threshold, I'm going to have to change that. So with your preferences defined, you're going to want to change this to a much lower number so that you can see the grid. If you don't change this to a low number, you won't be able to see the grid, the baseline grid, the lines. So it's really important that you do that. For the color, I like to stick with light blue. It just reminds me of lined paper. So that's good. Or you can do like a gray. Let's see. You don't need to change anything else here. Grids should be in the back. That's important. And then I would just hit OK. All right, so now we need to be able to view our baseline grid, because right now I can't see anything. So what we're going to do is, with your preferences defined, we've already done that. You're going to go to View, Grids, and Guides, and then go to Show Baseline Grid. So we want to make sure that's selected, and voila. Look, it now displays our baseline grid. So it looks just like notebook paper. Kind of cool, huh? So I'm going to post this in here. So this is how we view our baseline grid. Now, the grid will be visible on all pages of your document, so if it doesn't appear initially, you may need to zoom into the page to make it visible, but that's why we adjusted our view threshold, so it should show up at 100% view, so you won't have to worry about that. Okay, so now you can see if I zoom in here, my text is not aligned with my lines. See how it's kind of it's running through the words, or my words are dangling below. Some words are just way off. Nothing is lined up right. So what we need to do is we need to snap the text to the baseline grid. So we're going to learn how to snap text to the baseline grid in InDesign. So what you're going to do is open up the paragraph panel. So go to Window, type in Tables, click on Paragraph. So we're just going back into our paragraph panel. If you're on a so once you go to Window, type in Tables, click on Paragraph, then you're going to snap text to the grid by either placing your type tool or clicking T for your cursor into one of the text frames. So I'm just going to make sure my cursor is blinking in this text frame. Or I can highlight all of the text that I'd like to apply the action to. And then I'm going to click on the Align to Baseline Grid button right here, bottom right. At the bottom right corner of the paragraph panel, all the lines of the text will snap into place, aligning perfectly with each other. So do you see how I did that? Nothing lines up currently, but by highlighting the text and then clicking on my Align to Baseline Grid, now everything does line correctly. Okay? So you see that? It's perfect. Everything lines up. And now, if I zoom in here, now my last lines of each column line up. Exactly. That is what I'm looking for. That's huge. If you see this plus sign here at the bottom, that usually means that you have more text that you can't see. So I'm just going to move this box down one line at a time. And I moved them both down so that it was even. Are there any questions about baseline grids? Okay, so now if you save your formatted text, now that we've already got it formatted here, right here, this paragraph here, I've already got my leading, my Times New Roman font, my font size, the color, everything is the way I want it. I can save this now in my paragraph style sheets. So I can go to Window, Styles, make sure Paragraph Styles is open. See my paragraph styles here. I can add new. And this is going to become my body copy. It's already set up for me. So it's got Times New Roman, size 10, grid alignment to the baseline. So I hit OK. So now my body copy will automatically line up to the baseline grid no matter what copy I add to this page. I just need to select this paragraph style and it will automatically format it. Okay? So this is really useful if your document is very long. Luckily, we only have about 2 pages of a lot of text, but this is going to save you a lot of time, so you don't have to format it each time. It's just one format change, and then you can apply it to the rest of your document. Next thing that we're going to need to do is set up our cyberware tip column, and I'm going to pull up the example so that I can see what I'm doing here. All right, any questions on master pages, baseline grids, or style sheets? You need to at least show that you have those up and being used so that you can get points for them, you can get credit. If you don't see your baseline grid, remember, go to View, Grids and Guides, Show Baseline Grid. If you don't want to see it, you can hit W to kind of take the lines away. But once it's all set up, you can turn it off. So it's just there so you can see it's working. So Grids and Guides, hide baseline grid. So now you can go back into your working preview mode and you don't have to have those lines displaying all the time. Okay. All right, so the cyberware column here, I'm going to make sure my box starts where my title box starts. How to succeed. I want it to line up across horizontally. So I'm going to bring this down. My stroke should only be about 1. And then I'm going to fill it with a light color. And I'm just going to grab the color from her shirt. And then I can adjust it. I'll double click here and kind of lighten it up. Actually, I'll just go into the opacity up here at the top and I'll adjust the opacity until it kind of lightens up to this light gray. All right, so now I've got my, well, that probably won't work because then you can't see the stroke, huh? All right, so I'll click my box. We'll just have to kind of eyeball the shade. I'm just going to use my color picker and move it around until I can get like a nice color on there. It's kind of blue. This is going to take a while. Let's see. There we go. All right, now I'm going to hit W and I'm going to turn my baseline grid on, Grids and Guides, show baseline grid, because I want to make sure everything is set up. I'm going to draw a text box in here, leaving enough space for that picture at the bottom. Again, I want even amount of space on both sides of that text box, okay? Then I'm going to go to File, Place, and go to my cyberware tip document and hit Open. And there it goes. I'm going to highlight it and click on Body Copy. So it automatically lines it up to the baseline grid and it already formats it for me. The only thing I need to do is go on and give this a headline. So I'm going to click on my headline here and I'm going to click on New. This is called Headline. I'll hit OK. Now I'll highlight Cyberware Tip and click on Headline. There we go. And I'm just going to go make an adjustment. Now, if I make an adjustment, you'll notice, so if I change the font size, you'll notice a plus sign appeared next to this headline. So it's a lot like master pages, where if you were to make a change to this directly, it's going to apply it to everything that's used this format before, or this page style before. So what I want to do is either format this separately, or you can just use the eyedropper tool. And then I can shrink it down. Because I do need this to be smaller. And I do need cyberware to be on the same line. So I'm going to shrink it down a little bit. Try to get it as big as I can. I'm going to tighten up the leading because the space between the words I want to be kind of tight. I don't want tip to be too far away because then it feels disconnected. And then keep a clean machine. So I need to be able to format my subtitles. That's going to be Arial 12 and bold. And I'm going to add a new, this is going to be my subheadline. Hit OK. And then I'm going to change this to red. I guess this can be Times New Roman because that's what it seems like it is in the example. So we'll follow the example. I need this to be drop capped, so I'm going to click on, I'll create another one. This one, oops. I want this to be body copy. And then I need to add a new one, so it's going to be based off of the body copy, but I need a drop cap. And it's going to be 2 lines, and I'll hit OK. So there we go. And now I can name this drop cap. So I've got that set up. So that is getting, and this one I didn't want to. This one I need to reformat. I think I deleted the wrong one. Oops. Okay. Anyways, subheadline. I want this to be centered. I'll create a new one. It'll be headline. And this one I'm going to create. I like the size. I want it centered and I want it to be blue. The blue that they're using in that masthead. There we go. I'll adjust the formatting there. Make enter. Perfect. Okay, so now I've got the font, everything is lined up. I'm going to move cyberware here at the top. And in my process of changing things, I also messed up the other headline. So see, it can happen to the best of us. And now, if you'll notice here, because I put a text wrap on my image, my headline's messing up because it's touching the image, which means it's not going to format correctly. So to override the text wrap on my title, I'm just going to right click on the text box and then go to, I believe it's text frame options, and then ignore text wrap. I have to click that at the bottom. And then now my headline will format correctly. I'm just going to make the leading nice and neat in there. All right, so far so good. I've got these basic elements placed, and then all I need is my picture and table of contents. Okay, we're going to get ready to go to break. Before I do, are there any questions before we go into how to format page 2 and 3 and 4? I'm not going to go much more into page 1 just because we did it last week, but I want to make sure we cover 3 and 4 for the final project when I come back. We'll see if we've got time. So if no questions, we'll go ahead and take our 10-minute break and go stretch your legs. Open up InDesign, play around with it, see if you do have any questions. And we'll see you guys in 10 minutes. All right, so we're back. Are there any questions before we jump back into the demo? Anything come up? All right, if not, we will go ahead and jump right back into where we left off. I'm going to pull up the PDF so that I can see it side by side. All right, so that's kind of how to set up the front page. You'll need to set up your table of contents here at the bottom and place your image and format everything. If we have time, we'll go back to that. I'm just going to start jumping into page 2 and 3 because that's what we're going to need to learn how to do. So it's good news is we've already kind of done page 2 yesterday. So page 3 and 4 will probably be the only 2 that we'll need to do. So we'll go ahead and I'm going to grab my type tool, use my margin line as a guide. I'm going to draw a text box about 4 or 5 lines across. And this is get more out of your study time. And this one I'm going to highlight as the headline. I do need to make this a little bit bigger. And I want this to be title case. There we go. And I want the color to match my masthead. So I'm actually just going to copy this right here. Okay. All right. Anytime you make an override to your paragraph sheets, you'll notice there's a plus sign next to it, like you see here in headline. That means you made a change to it since you last used it. All right, so I've got get more out of your study time. I'm going to draw a rectangle frame. And again, these grid lines are great because it shows you how much space. It does allow you to draw your frames and text boxes by leaving enough space between, using those lines as a guide. I'm going to go to File, Place, and then I'm going to place the guy studying at the library and study time 1. And then I'm going to go to Object, Fitting Fill Frame Proportionately. And this allows me to fill my frame. And I hit W on my keyboard to toggle between the preview mode and the work mode, the workspace. So doing that allows me to get different views because sometimes it can be confusing. We've got a lot of lines going on. So by hitting W, it kind of lets me step back and kind of see what it looks like. I'm going to bring this text box down just a little bit, maybe one more line so that it's a little closer to the picture. I don't want it too spread out. And then I'm going to grab my type tool. I'm going to click and drag. Now here's where we're going to use that text box trick. So I'm going to click and drag all the way down. I'm going to do 1 in each column, okay? You can even copy the text box so you don't have to draw. I'm holding down Alt or Option. I'm drawing 3 of them. Now I've copied them, but I need to connect them. I need to link them so that text can flow from one and out the other. So I'm going to click on my first one. Remember how we did that? Here at the bottom right, there's a larger anchor point and a smaller anchor point. I want the larger one. I'm going to click on it. You'll notice immediately my mouse changes and there's a little triangle in that box now. Then I'm going to click on the second column, click on that larger anchor point there, click somewhere in the third column, and now they're all linked. And you'll know they're linked because you see the little triangle there in each one. All right, so now I'm going to make my cursor blink in the first text box because I'm going to flow all of my text in. I'm going to go to place, just like we were placing an image, but in this case, we're going to be placing study time. I'll hit open, and there it goes. It flows in. I'm going to highlight all of this text, and I'm going to click on body copy. So now it's automatically formatted for me. Isn't that really easy and simple? Thanks to these style sheets, this site saves us a lot of time. Now I'm just going to click on subheadline. And for the subheadline, I do need to change the formatting because I didn't change it up here. I'm going to go right here. All right. So I'll go back on page 2. Now I'm going to click on each subhead and use the subheadline. Let's see, apply subline. Oh, so I'll double click that. I want to change it. So I'm going to go back to my character formats. Instead of Arial, it's going to be Times New Roman. And under here, I'm going to go to my color. Let's see, where's the color? General, basic. I think that's all I need. There's the color. Do red. And I'll hit OK. Oh, I don't want the ruler. I'll just change it to red here. Okay, perfect. All right, so you kind of get the idea. So are there any questions on how to use the style sheets? Oops, I'm not supposed to format that. Okay, if not, we're going to do the bullets. Now, these can be a little bit tricky. It's not already preset in your text like it was in the previous article. So what I'm going to do is, oh, don't forget to delete this first line of text. That was your headline. And then I need to do the drop cap. There we go. It's already formatted. And then here is where we're going to want to do the bullets. So I'm going to zoom in so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to highlight the text that I want to bullet point. I'm going to go to Window, Type in Tables. I think it's under Paragraph. Oh, nope, it's under Character. Sorry. Type in Tables under Character. Your Characters panel will open up. You can, I don't see it, sorry. It's under your paragraph formatting controls. I know that. Here's a bulleted list right here. You can click that to automatically add bullets, or you can go to Type, Bulleted, and Numbered Lists. You can go apply numbers, or you can do the bullets. That'll work too. So with the bulleted list open, you can adjust the indent if you want, but on the example it doesn't, so we don't need to do that. So we'll leave it as is. And then I'm just going to fix this extra space between the text. So I'm going to bring it up so there's only one line of space. I don't need all that extra gap. And now that allows me to get my text up. It looks like there's an extra space here. Now I see this red plus sign, which means there might be something missing. So I'm just going to extend the text box a little bit. And it looks like I'm going to need a little bit more room. So I'm going to kind of shrink up this picture a little bit. So hold down Shift and select each one of these text boxes, and I'm going to move them up so I can get more text in. Now, if I have to, or if you have to, you can go ahead and shrink the text up to make it all fit. Because right now, the body copy is 10, but we want it to match what's on the previous page. So I'm just going to use my backup tool. Now, another thing we want to look for, it'll fit nicely if you make sure that you don't have little widows, which are these words that kind of dangle off. They're kind of lonely here at the bottom. So what we're gonna do is kind of fix the tracking a little bit to get that up. And the way that you fix tracking is either right here under the word metrics, this value, or you can open your windows, go to Type in Tables, click on Character, and your tracking is right to the right of the font size. Okay, or that's letting, I'm sorry. It's, I guess, 2 columns over on the right. So if you highlight your text and just kind of shrink it down a little bit, you kind of pull the word up. It kind of shrinks everything together. And then last but not least, I might do that for all of it, make it just -10 and see if I can get things pulled up. All right, I'll pull this up a little bit. There we go. I was able to get everything up, so that's good news. I'm going to bring these text boxes to the margin line. Oops. There we go. All right. It's just a matter of making it fit. So it's just going to take a little bit. I might have to adjust some things to get it to fit. But in this case, might need to make the tracking a little bit smaller. Nope. Maybe here. No. I'm looking for any danglers that I can adjust. No. Here we go. Let's do this. There we go. So now it's all pulled up. So it'll take a little bit of tweaking. Okay, I also need to fit a picture there. So what I'm going to do is move everything up a little bit. I'm going to get it up to that top margin line. I'm going to extend the top of my text boxes. I'm going to bring these two down to the margin line, and this is where I'm going to place my picture. So I'm going to bring this text box up. I'm going to grab my rectangle frame, and I'm going to draw, using my margin line as a guide where everything lines up. This is where my rectangle frame is going to go. I'm going to go to File, Place, and then I'm going to find Study Time JPEG 2. And then I'm going to go to Object, Fitting, Fill Frame Proportionately. And double clicking it will allow me to kind of move him up or down. And I'm probably going to want a little bit more room, so I may need to make this, this other top picture a little smaller or move him up. So I'm going to just move this up a little bit and move all of these up a little bit. Here we go. So he's not cut off. All right. So that page is finished. Now we're going to move on to the right one. Are there any questions about page 2? We kind of did this already last week, but I want to make sure that we feel comfortable with it. Feeling good? All right, let's move on to page 3. Keep those baselines on. Now this is going to be an extension of the other text. So it looks like I won't need to format this. Oh, because it's going to continue on. Okay, I see. All right, so here's a little trick. We're going to draw our column of text right here, just one. But I want to connect this text box to the one on the left because it's going to continue and flow into to continue the article. So I'm going to click on the third column on that larger white anchor point, and I'm going to click inside this text box here. Now I don't have to worry about fixing my tracking, so I'm going to set it back to 0 and just make sure that everything is formatted right. Okay. Here we go. And I want schedule matters and learning matters on the other column. So this will allow me to kind of make the image a little bit bigger. And it might allow me to make my font a little bit bigger. I'm going to go to Window. Before I do that, I'm going to turn off my hyphenation. So by going to Type in Tables, Paragraph, I'm going to click this hyphenate box, uncheck it, and that will help wrap around words. Okay. So this part might be tricky in the sense that you might have to play around with where things are laid out, what size your text boxes are. You're going to have to play around with the font a little bit. And I'm going to move these 3 down just a little bit because I don't need that much room. There we go. Pages 2 and 3 are facing pages. Yeah, you'll want facing pages checked. You won't be able to correct that unless you start a new document, but it doesn't have to be. You don't have to. I mean, in the requirements, yes, it wants you to, but it's not going to make or break a successful layout. So if you don't want to redo it, you don't have to. I would, If you want to have the pages facing, you'd have to create a new document and just copy and paste everything into your new document. Otherwise, just keep it the same. Just keep it how you have it. You don't have to make that adjustment. Yeah, it's okay. They changed it a little bit since last time, so I'm not going to grade if you don't have facing pages. It just makes it a little easier when you're laying out, but because I showed you guys how to do it without facing pages, you're not going to lose any points on it. It doesn't make or break the layout. All right, all I'm trying to do is get this to fill in. So I may have to make the font size just a little bit bigger. So I'm going to go to, instead of 10, I'm going to do 11. Whoops. See, your environment matters. So I want everything up until your environment matters. So I'm going to have to make this. Now don't change the leading, whatever you do, make sure it's all the same size. The leading needs to be 12 to snap to your baseline grid, or you're going to get really confused. It's going to get really messy. All right, it doesn't have to be exact as far as how it rolls over into the next page. I just want us to kind of have a basic understanding. And we can even spread it out a little bit. If we do change our leading to 13, we'd have to go back into preferences and grids and change our increment every to 13 so that it does, so we have a nice clean layout. All right, so just kind of figure, find a good place where it can stop. That looks lined up. This column is formatted okay. And now what I want to do is get my other columns set up. So I already have my box formatted on page 1. For consistency, I'm just going to use the same one. So I went and copied and pasted it. And this one extends over 2 columns. So I'm going to have this extend over 2 columns, and I'm going to have this stop at the margin line. Okay. And I'm going to have this come down to line up with the picture. I'm going to bring this down as well so it lines up with my type, just like that. All right, and then I need to place my picture, so I'll grab my rectangle frame tool. I want it even amount of space on the top, the bottom, the left, and the right, and I'll go to place. And this one is healthy snacking, so that's number 1. Oops. So this, I'm going to copy the subheadline, or not the subheadline, let's see. Center this. Good question. So when you override, if you double click it, it will override it. So that now becomes, if you double click it, that overrides it. And then you can check here under the style settings. If this is the new setting, you just hit override. You can either edit it or you can delete it. So for the subheadline, I'm going to double click it. And I'm going to make a manual change. So I'm going to go in here and I want this to be Arial. And I'm going to center this. So if I want to keep the change, I'm going to double click it. Does that help? Yours went back. Okay. Do you want to share your screen? I'll close mine so you can show me. And then can you turn on, I'll unmute your mic if you want to talk. There you go.
Okay. I had the red plus sign on mine and I could not fix it. So I fixed what I could and now I'm starting over. That's why you see my picture over here.
Okay.
So I got this for my body copy. And then I went and this and this and tables and paragraph and then this right here, baseline grid. That's the way I want it to look. But then when I try to, you double click the plus sign, right?
Well, you'll open it up and you'll make the change inside. So yeah, it will override it.
Okay.
And then you want to make sure, see in the style settings, if there's anything else that you want to change. So down here, yeah, so down here you want to make sure it's all what you want it to be. If there's anything that's missing, then you'll have to do it on the left-hand side.
Okay. I forgot about this.
Here, go.
So does that help?
Yes. Now I can fix it. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And then you can also go to your CC document, your InDesign document, and you can go to your paragraph styles palette, which you've got open right there. And in the top corner, if you click the triangle, do you see the triangle?
Mm-hmm.
And scroll down to load all text styles. See that?
Where did it go?
You have it open?
This one right here?
Yeah, so in the top corner, just click the triangles. There you go. Oh, did it disappear? Open your panel one more time. Maybe it's the options, that the 4 horizontal lines. There you go. Yeah, and then you can either load the paragraph styles or you can override them if you want. But I think you just want to make a change to it, right? Because you want to apply it to all the others.
Yes.
Yeah, so you'll just go make those changes manually in the paragraph style itself.
And each one of these?
Yes, and those. And then it will become a permanent thing.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Yes.
Yep, no problem. Yeah, paragraph styles take a lot of getting used to, a lot of navigating. I'll go ahead and mute your mic. There we go. And so it just takes practice, but if you get lost at all, just let me know because we want to make sure we're. So like this, in this case, for the sub headline, I want to make sure it's, I want to go back to my basic character formats. I want to make sure my paragraph, everything is set up. So I've got Arial, bold, 12. Everything is set up correctly. And then if there's any other changes that you want to make, you can go in here and this is where you would make them. Okay. Hit OK. Now I'll go into character. So I need my character panel open. Let's see, styles, character styles, because I want to go in and add a character style that deals with my coloring, my basic formatting. So if I wanted to do a color, so like this one, I want to do blue. And if I want to make any other changes, I'll hit OK, center it, and then now this becomes my character style. So I'm going to kind of increase it here. This is my character style. Okay. So character styles allows you to make adjustments to your text. The paragraph styles kind of helps you make adjustments to your paragraph. It can kind of do both, but it doesn't have font color on there. So that's important to have when you are formatting. And again, I want these blues to match. So just make sure we just grab them from the same place. Hit OK. All right. Okay, so now we're on to kind of formatting the rest of our text. We'll want a new text box, and we want this to be 2 columns. I'm going to try to get this to end at the same place the other ones are ending, and I want this not to overlap that purple margin line. So I'm just going to copy 2 text boxes, and again, I'm going to click the bottom right and then click once into that text box to link them. cursor blinking in the far left one, I'll go to File, Place. I'm going to place my healthy eating article, and it's called Healthy Snacking. I'll hit Open, and there you go. I've got it placed. I'm going to get rid of this headline because I've already got it at the top there. I'll highlight this and click on my body copy. And it looks like it adjusted it to my old one, so I'm going to have to go in and fix it. So I'm going to kind of double click it. Okay. Oh, I've got to go and make the adjustment manually. So this is going to be 11. This is going to be 13. You can preview it to make sure it's doing it right. There we go. 11 and 12. Hit OK. All right, there we go. So there it is. And then I'm going to click on my drop cap. I've got my drop cap set up. And then here's a cool thing. If you would just highlight your bullets or a bulleted list and go to New, this now becomes my bullet list. I'll hit OK. So now when I highlight this section that needs to be bulleted, I can click on bullet list and it automatically applies those bullets to them. So again, paragraph styles is supposed to be saving us time. So this is very helpful. And then all I need to do is place my picture. So I'm going to grab a rectangle frame, making it the same width as that text box. And I'm going to place it here at the top. I'm going to go here and I'm going to move my text box down. So they're kind of switching places. Click on that rectangle frame. I'm going to go place and place my healthy snacking image number 2. I'll hit open and it goes places. We'll go to object, fitting, fill frame proportionately. There we go. So that she's in there. I've got my text in there. Everything looks good. And the only thing that I want to do is make sure that this is even. So just extend that picture there and bring this down. I'm going to kind of adjust this up so that I want them to kind of roughly end at the same place. There we go. And then I'm going to bring this down a little bit here at the bottom. I'm just kind of shifting everything down a bit. If you'll notice, there's a plus sign here, so it means that there was text that you couldn't see. So I wanted to make sure that that was fixed. All right, I'm bringing healthy snacking down. I'm going to bring this picture here, and I'm going to fill the frame proportionately so that I've got a nice filled in column. Okay, so now that that's done, let's see, what else do we need to do? Okay, so I've got everything on this page, so that might be it for this page. Let's go to page 4. Now here's the last part. This is the easy part. This is where you just go to File, Place, and you're going to find the graduation ad. There it is. You'll hit Open. And then you click once on the page to place the image. Give it a second, it's thinking. Let's try it again. Oh, I see what it did. Sorry, it placed it in my other box. There we go. Okay, click once on the page, and it's already sized for you. You just need to move it up to the top there. And then it needs you to have an address. So the address is very small. It doesn't need to be big at all. We want it to look just like the example. So I'm going to grab my type tool. I'm going to put it right here and paste it in. I'm going to make this my body copy. Just like that. Okay? So that's all you need on page 4. The ad is done for you. You just need to paste the address. So don't forget to do the address. All right. And then you might want to go in and just kind of adjust things if you can. So I want to kind of see more text down here. If we have to, we can adjust the tracking of the text or the actual text box. We want to bring it down a little bit more or try to get it to end at the same baseline. That would work too. I can kind of shrink the column of text a little bit. All right, perfect. So that's page 2, that's page 3, and this is page 4. On my master page, I'm gonna close out of here real quick. First of all, do we need to review tab leaders again? We'll need those on page 1. So we've got a little bit of time if we wanted to review page 1. No? Okay. So here what we want to do is draw this horizontal line. You can on the example, let's see what the example says. Shows right here. Okay. Oop. There we go. So the example shows a dotted line. So I'm going to format the same way. I'm just going to go down to about 1 point. And under the style, you can also find this under your stroke panel, but it's also very nice because it's right here. So I've got my dotted line here. I'm going to increase the stroke a little bit to 2, maybe 3. There we go. That looks more like it. And I want to make sure that my stroke line ends at my column line and ends where my margin line is, okay? All right, and then we'll review it, don't worry. So we'll review tab leaders. Okay, so I'm gonna close out of here, go to my InDesign. We'll set up our table of contents and place our last image, and then I'm gonna package this for you and show you how to zip the file. All right, so we're gonna go to File, Place. I'm gonna go to the Cyber Aware. See, what picture is it? Oh, there it is, Cyber Aware tip. Hit Open. I'm gonna place it in here. And just fill this proportionately. All right, so I've got my cyber aware tip box done. Okay, so what we're gonna do is start our table of contents. So I'm gonna drag this out. This is table of contents, and I'm gonna switch over to the PDF so I can see. I'm just gonna grab the text here. So you'll have the text. I'm gonna draw a separate text box for this because I need to format it a little bit differently. But on this table of contents, I'm going to make this red and make it a little larger. Just like that. Text box right here. And here I'm just getting rid of these tabs that were copied from the PDF. I'll show you how to set them up. Okay. And I think that's everything. I want to be able to turn this, make this leading match. And I want this to be Times New Roman. There we go. I also want to bold this because I want this to be a little bit bigger. So I'm going to change this to bold. All right. So to set up your dot leaders, you want to highlight all the lines of text that require a dot leader. And then you're going to open the tab ruler. So if you go here, highlight it. You're going to the tab ruler. So if you go to, let's see, I believe it's window, type in tables. And then if you go to tabs, see, I'm not seeing it. Or is it type? Tabs. Okay, so go to the type and then tabs. And it brings up your tabs panel right here. Your leader is going to be a period right there. And you're going to show where you want it to stop and start. So you're going to click on this gray area. You can kind of move it here. And you kind of show where you want it to end right here. Then you want it to be right justified. So right here, do a period. And I'll just tab it over like that. Tab, oops. Do a period. And then got to right justify it. Tab. Period. There we go. All right, so that's how you set up your tabs. Are there any questions? Okay, perfect. So just make sure you go to type, tabs, and then make sure your leader says dot or period. You can do right justified. Okay. And then you'll just hit the tab button once you have it where you want it to start. So in this case, we'd probably start here. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to say we're all done with this. We're all done formatting. We're going to go to File, Package. We're going to hit Package. And then we're going to follow the steps. So if we haven't saved it already, we're going to save it. Save it where you'll remember it. This will say DES105, assignment 4, first last name, okay? Hit continue, and then again, make sure you save it somewhere. Here at the bottom, you want this to say smallest file size. This means it'll be an easier upload for you and a quicker download for me. If you were sending this to a printer, you would want high quality print, but for the job that we need done is just smallest file size. That should be the only thing that you change. Everything else should stay the same. Then you hit package and hit OK. So what it's doing is it's collecting all the images, all the fonts that you have chosen and picked, and it's putting it all in one folder for us so that when you submit the folder, which you're going to be compressing that folder, you're going to send me all the elements. So basically, you're only compressing the folder. You don't compress elements within it. You don't send me just the InDesign folder. Make sure you package this. This is a big part of the grade, so we want to make sure we know how to do that. Are there any questions with how to package a folder? Okay, perfect. All right, so there's the student matters. Okay, so now that we've got everything placed, everything's ready, just make sure everything's lined up, everything looks okay. Sure you've got that folio there at the bottom. And we finally got the packaging, so that's good. That's wonderful. And then just wanted to show you something really quick. Stop the share and share my Google here. So there's a few things I wanted to point out on week 4. We go to our assignments. Go to assignment, career integration. Okay, so I wanted to show you guys this. This is important. Again, it's a graded quiz, but it's basically opinion based. So you're just asked 3 different questions. What was the value that you got from the assignments in this course and why? What did you find of most value from the instructor lectures and why? What did you find in the readings? You can include the videos in this course if that helped you, but your response should be at least 50 words or more per question. So we want a detailed response, not one-word answers or one-line answers. You will get graded on the quality of your response, but not your opinion. So please take time to do this. This is an easy 15 points. Just don't rush through it too quickly, but you get points if it's thoughtful and if you make specific comments that show that you know that you took the information from the course and you integrated it into your future career. So if you legitimately feel the quality of some aspect of the course is lower than it should be, please send your suggestions for improvement to me or to the associate dean, and then you can comment on the week 4 Modley survey on the survey. So we're always looking to improve. We want to hear the positive from you on this. How are you going to implement the things that you've learned into your career? This is kind of important. So make sure you do this. Again, it's 15 points, but don't forget to do it because usually we only have 2, an assignment and assessment. This is just an extra thing that we need to do, okay? And then also I wanted to go over real quick. I saw that not many people have posted in the discussion. I really need you guys to go in now. So I want you to take a minute and I want you to go into the discussion with me for just a minute, okay? I know one student emailed me saying that the reply button wasn't available, but I think we got that fixed earlier so that it is ready to go. So again, make sure you post in here, okay? And hit the reply button if you need to reply to somebody. Remember, you got to reply to at least 2 peers, and make sure you follow the prompt and the requirements and all that fun stuff. But if you have any questions, please email me. I also wanted to point out under the announcements 2 things I added today, which will help you. Well, I think they'll help you anyways. My page wants to load. Okay, good. Just make sure you get it in because that's a huge part of your grade. And again, that's a lot of easy points if you can get it in. Okay, so I just posted under week 4 how to use style sheets. So that should be available now. If you click on this, it takes you to a tutorial. It's just an online tutorial, but it gives visuals, and I like visuals. So this is a really nice place to see, oh, this is the box that the panel I'm supposed to have open. Oh, this is where I go on the panel. So it says, well, a window will appear, and it allows you to customize your paragraph style, and it kind of steps you through how to do that very simply and with pictures. And so we love pictures. I think it's very easy. So just check this link out. This is paragraph styles. Also, I forgot to label it week 4, but it's in there. Wanted to show you. Set up your baseline grid. That's a new one that was posted today. So if you click these links, here's the steps that you need to take if you wanted it. But if you wanted more of a visual example of how to do the baseline grid, I'm including it here. So again, it takes you to another link. If you scroll down to the bottom, again, it gives you pictures. Let me zoom out. It's kind of zoomed in a bit. Scroll down. Hold on, my computer is going so slow. Okay, here we go. So again, you've got the images and it shows you step by step how to set it up, what it looks like when you're setting it up. So this is really helpful. So that is all there, how to set up your baseline grid. Is there anything else you guys would want to know or have easy access to? I even believe I put up how to package a file on here. And I think that was during packaging files. Here's your detailed list. So even this is posted as well. So don't be overwhelmed with the 11 steps. It's very simple, but if you follow these steps, this will help you step you through it. So you want to make sure InDesign's open, resolve any errors, go to File, Package, and then follow the instructions that it steps you through, okay? At the very end, step 11 is how to compress and zip the file. So you'll right-click on the entire folder, and you'll hit compress. If you're on a Mac, you'll hit send to zip, okay? It's different than on a Mac, and so I'm not able to demo that if you're on Windows, but if you're on a PC, you'll hit send to zip, okay, by right-clicking on that folder. So that should help. Are there any other questions? Now is your chance. I did have a video I wanted to share, but I can't seem to find it. And I wonder if it didn't save. Or maybe if I had it on the wrong slide. Oops. Okay, perfect. You guys have fun designing. We will see you next week. Let me know if you have any questions. Please contact our student. Oh, that was another thing. I think I posted that. Week 4 learning coach schedule has changed. So please check out this little tab here. It's her schedule is attached. If you need to contact her now so you can set up a time this week. Okay, don't wait till you run into a problem and then freak out because you're stuck. Make sure you set up a time where she could look at your assignment, or you guys could just work on it together. That would probably be the best thing. And if you have any assignments that you need to resubmit, talk to her and then have her give you feedback, or come to the multi-session on Thursday. Please take advantage of it. This is our last multi-session. So if you have any questions or want to work with me on assignments to get caught up, I will be here and I would love to help you. So make sure that you do that. But again, the learning coach information is right here. Don't wait till you run into a problem. Go ahead and set something up with her. Maybe Wednesday before the multi-session, or maybe Friday after the multi-session. You know how you always run into problems after you've talked to somebody. So just go ahead and set something up with her. And yes, Teresa, you can meet with me after we close out, absolutely. All right, guys, that's it. I think we're good. We're golden. Are there any questions from anybody before we end? All right. Well, you guys have a great night. Thanks for coming. Thank you for watching at home. I really appreciate your participation and hanging with me. Hopefully this 2-hour demo helps you get through the final project. But again, the last half should be pretty simple. So go ahead and try to tackle it. All right. Have a good night. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.